Did you know that polar bears actually have black skin?
What? No, they don't. Where did you hear that?
I read it from a book.
Did you really? I didn't know you had the IQ to read.
Shut up, Corbus. I know at least half of my alphabets.
Wait, so you mean to say that this whole time the fuzzy, lovable predator of the North Pole has all been a conspiracy? What do polar bears even look like without furs? Oh god, what is that abomination? Quick, someone slay it with fire. That is not a polar bear. I refuse to believe that abhorrent familiar of Satan is the same entity as this squishy animal.
I know the truth can be hard to accept, but it's true. Polar bears are black.
No, they're not. They're white.
Gasp. That's racist. How dare you say the WH word?
What? You mean the word what?
No, I mean the other WH word. I'm not allowed to actually say it, so I can't tell you what it is.
You mean white?
Gasp. That's racist. Corbus, you're not allowed to be a racist. That's bad.
Saying the word white isn't racist, Beta.
Well, it is according to my journal research online. People seem to get extremely offended whenever anyone says the WH word, and the conversation quickly devolves into a competitive mudslinging involving multiple iteration of the noun race and how much more successful and sexually attractive they are in real life than the other presumably fat loser sitting on the other side of the computer screen, until someone inevitably mentions Hitler and the thread derails into a metaphorical vomit diarrhea soup of ironic Nazi supporters and not so ironic Nazi supporters.
Basing your facts off of anonymous feedbacks you read online doesn't seem like the wisest way to live life.
Corbus, humans are adaptable creatures. The current generation defined the societal means of right and wrong, and we must learn to adapt to the contemporary definitions in order to coexist, regardless of our own opinions.
Beta, that is the definition of sheep mentality.
Is that another one of those fancy terms that millennials use? I'll have to send a private message to my blog subscribers to find out what that one means.
No, it just means you're dumb. You're dumb, Beta. Learn to think for yourself, as vague and unhelpful as that sounds.
Why must you guys always be so mean to me? I'm just trying to rediscover my personal inclinations through biased online resources such as political news websites and horoscope readings.
That is so like you, somehow.
Yeah, well, while you've been looking down on me, I have been studying the vast wealth of information online, learning new buzzwords to keep out of conversations and learning to address people's gender and sexuality in the most vague and non-offensive way possible, in case an emotionally unstable sociopath with a glass mentality has a psychotic meltdown when a stranger they've never met before accidentally calls them a pronoun they did not identify with. Well, it's honestly difficult learning how to hone my psychic abilities to read people's minds to ensure you never offend them in case they have depression, anxiety, panic disorder, self-esteem issues, and various other self-diagnosed ailments you could have never known about because you literally met them 2 seconds ago.
Beta, people actually don't care as nearly as much as you think. Stop going through so much trouble to please people that obviously aren't worth your time.
No, I think you're in the wrong, Corbus. We must be gentle with other people's feelings. You're just an ignorant, privileged, polysexual, non-gendered, 200 milliliters honey jar from a poor lower-class family. How dare you assume that it's okay to be so ignorant of all the privileges you possess?
We are trapped in an eternal oblivion of spiritual torture. I do not think I have many privileges to speak of, sadly.
Shut up. If you don't agree with us, you'll be defaulted to a racist and tagged in our reblogs and be ridiculed by my subscribers for the rest of eternity on our privately owned internet forums.
I think the definition of race and racism and plethora of other concepts has been lost to overzealous do-writers. Beta, there isn't really a right and wrong in this world. And I won't be so pretentious as to say that someone's physical appearance, race, gender, all of that doesn't have even the slightest bit of bearing on how I perceive them. They do, although not in the extremist, detrimental sense that someone who might actually fit the bill of a racist might be. But that's natural, Beta. We're creatures that see and perceive with our eyes, but we mustn't let it cloud our judgment so much so that we can't respect other sentient beings for what they are. Perhaps it's just made easier for us by the fact that we're no longer mortal beings, but it's like this. I hate Rue not because he's a conglomerate of dead beehives and diluted plant chemicals, but because he's a hypocritical self-pitying prick who's passive-aggressive about his problems, and also because I just like bullying and for some reason yet to be revealed in the plot. But I try to be fair. Well, as much fair as I can be as a spiritual honey jar and a Satan enthusiast. Perhaps if we all learn to be less pretentious in our self-important existence and let things happen, and have the insight and judgment to make decisions on a case-by-case basis, instead of lumping everyone into a gigantic category of presumptuous stereotypes, we could at least reduce ourselves the slightest twinge of misery while we struggle to coexist on this tiny planet.
You're right, Corbus, you're right. You always are. But, the thing is, you guys don't get me. None of you actually care. None of you, not one of you, ever honestly gave a damn about me or cared about what I have to say. So I guess I felt like I had no choice but to prefer the company of anonymous strangers online even if they had tried to use me for their political agendas. Sure, they might be a bit crazy and emotionally unstable, but they were more of a friend than you ever were, Corbus. They listened to me, sympathized with me, and told me their own experiences and what they had to go through in their lives. I feel so much closer to them even knowing that I would never be able to meet them in real life. Corbus, you have never cared bothered about my feelings or being considerate about how your actions might damage me. There's nothing ever in it for me. All you ever do is try to use me and throw me away. You can't just turn around and tell me that the new friends I made aren't good enough for me when you've never been there for me in the first place. Plus, although sometimes I think it's stupid, it feels good feeling like being a part of a bigger cause, having something that I belong to. It makes me feel special and worth something, even if the feeling is merely psychological. You guys have never given that to me, therefore you are a hypocrite for looking down on me for trying to find my place in this world. Corbus. Tell me that I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me one of your stupidly smart monologues about how I'm stupid and irresponsible. Say something, Corbus. Tell me the truth about whether I'll ever be good enough to deserve you as a friend, Corbus. I want to know. I need to know.
Sorry, I wasn't really listening. What did you say again, Beta?